are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Welcome back to the Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877-Doc-Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I got a little grumpy the other day. I don't usually get too grumpy, but I don't like how prices are going up. Me and my family are going to a wedding. We cannot wait. We love this family so much, and we're going to be going to a wedding. And I went to buy plane tickets. And I live in Southern Nevada. And so Southwest usually offers inexpensive flights to other parts of Nevada. I remember the $59 away, maybe 99 cents away, $99 away. And so it turned out that to get these tickets, we were averaging $500 a ticket. So that's $2,000 to go somewhere that I used to drive. It's a 7-hour drive, but I could do it in 7 hours. But, I was, that's kind of a lot of money to go to a place that you were able to go for cheaply. But apparently the prices are going up. So rather than spending $2,000 to go, go to Italy, you're going, I don't know how many hundreds of miles north of the same state. And that's what the airlines call. The trick is you just keep checking the airline and you keep checking for prices, and then you check to see if the price drops. So I got tickets that were refundable so that I could do that. But, I was only grumpy for a second about it, and then I just went on to watch football, and I'm good. But I'm noticing in the news that there's all these meltdowns on planes that people are having, and it's looking more and more common. Now, is it more common because people are reporting it and videotaping it, so we're seeing it, or are they... is this a behavior that we didn't usually have that is becoming more apparent? I think it's the latter. I think we are seeing more meltdowns on the whole. And I have some theories as to why. So travel, my family didn't have money, so we didn't really travel or fly anywhere. If it wasn't in driving distance, we really didn't go. I think maybe we had 1 or 2 flights when I was a child. I really don't remember much. But my husband remembers where there would be food. Even if you were coach, there would be food like TWA. There'd be like a buffet. So you would get up from your seat, be able to go grab food and go back to your seat. You'd also dress up on the plane. And so travel used to be more of an experience. And it used to be, I guess, more comfortable. Not like sitting, all cramped up and coach like most of us are. Also, travel, you were expected to have delays. All right, trains would be late, planes would be late, there'd be weather. So you wouldn't have this, well, the computer is saying I'm supposed to land at 5:04. Okay, if I don't land at 5:04, then I can't get to the meeting at 5:45, and then I'm going. See, and unfortunately, I do that with my time. I leave the latest possible flight I need to get to where I need to go because I'm working or I don't want to skip my show, and then and so I need everything to work perfectly. But if it doesn't, I'm not going to get mad about it. But I think our expectations are changing. So now you have individuals who are paying a lot of money for their flight. They're hungry. They get to the airport and water bottles are $7. So they feel like they're getting screwed, not to mention food, etc. They're uncomfortable. I remember the flight attendants, and God bless our flight attendants, but they went through hell during COVID. And so I'm noticing a lot of their attitudes have changed. However, but I do remember where, they were just so nice and friendly and customer service. And now, please sit down. Please sit down. You can't do this. You can't do this. And people don't necessarily take that really well. And so on top of that, we have such a rising rate of mental illness and people not necessarily seeing their therapist weekly like they used to, or staying on their medications, or eating a healthy diet because we're all eating sugar and titanium dioxide and food additives, that when you start putting all that together with high expectations and feeling like you're late and being overcharged and not being talked to, these individuals that are just a little bit, even just a little bit in terms of, not having control of their mental health are losing it. And then they get caught on camera and they get mad more. And I that's a problem. And I don't like the way travel has become. It's become kind of ridiculous. I can't tell you how many times I bought something and they said it would include drinks or would include something and it didn't. They're like, sorry. And they have nothing to lose because they have a captive audience. If people need to fly across the country, they're going to fly across the country. They don't care. See, me, I'll drive if I have to. I don't care. I'm not going to spend money that I don't want to spend. But if I'm in a hurry, I'll fly. So, packing our patience. We always are told, pack your patience. And I hate being told that because I can be impatient. But maybe we need to kind of go back to old school going, look, expect your plane to be late. Like with holiday travel. When it's the holidays, if you think you are going to land on time, that's a rarity. So for me, anytime I travel, I always try to get in a day early, just in case I get stuck. I have at least that wiggle room. And when you have that wiggle room and also have a plan, we're going to be coming up on the holidays soon. And one thing I urge many of you to do is, one, try to just do a direct flight because there's more delays and issues if you have to connect. But if you do have to have a connecting flight, have a plan on if you need to stay at a hotel. Maybe get a fully refundable hotel room or something so that if you do get stuck or there's a delay because of weather, you already have a hotel to go to. Now, there's when I travel up to Reno every winter, there's usually some issue. And then I have to either rent a car to drive back or I have to stay overnight. And that's just because of weather. That's, we love snow and that's why I go there because I want to see snow. But, if that's the case, then always have plan B. But I think a lot of us are forgetting that travel used to be different and we get spoiled. It's not the same. And now we get grumpy. So don't be getting grumpy on our flight attendants. Okay. They're working hard, and definitely don't start losing your stuff on camera. Just play it cool. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Let's face it, guys. We're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's Aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So, for years now, recent years, we've been hearing that schools are piloting programs where they pay students to show up to class. Now, every time I hear that, I cringe because I'm thinking to myself, if my kids said I needed to pay them, I'd be like, okay, you know what? You're looking for a butt whooping. But with them, it was, they wouldn't even be fazed by that. If I'm like, I'm going to attack Tushy, they're like, they wouldn't faze them a bit. But at least they went to school. I didn't have to bribe them to go to school. And I get a school rewarding people for perfect attendance. I remember when I was younger, so we're talking in the 80s, they would say, there's the perfect attendance award. And it was always a girl. It was never a boy. It was always a girl, pigtails, going up there. And she was like, somebody would later run for class president. And she was the class suck-up. And, she would get the perfect attendance award. And I would be close because I hated staying home with my parents, with my mom especially. So I wanted to be in school. But if I was sick or if it was the Jewish holiday, I had to be out. So I never got perfect attendance because you had to take off for the holidays, for the Jewish holidays. And so I was always bummed out about that. I never got perfect attendance because I was teacher's pet too. And I was a suck-up. But that didn't mean I liked the other ones. I like the jocks. That was my thing, but that's different topic for a different day. But one thing I realized is if I wasn't going to get the award anyway, I was like, well, I'll just do me. And so awards for attendance, they've been going on for years, but financially paying people. So in this latest school to jump on board with this is Digital Pioneers Academy. They're doing a $50 a week study where they're going to provide $50 a week for 40 weeks, giving $2,000 per student. I think I'm going to join this academy. It's not going to be to every student. They're going to pick 40 senior students at Digital Pioneers Academy. And this is in the District of Columbia, D.C. And it's an initiative facilitated by Rooted School Foundation since 2020. They're going to provide high school students with unconditional cash transfers via reloadable debit cards and to see if it'll assess their impact on their well-being, their financial capability, and academic engagement. According to the press release, this is made possible through the support of Education Forward DC, a local funder that works to advance quality and equity in DC public schools. Now, they say this is backed by a dual-year randomized controlled trial conducted by researchers at the Center for Guaranteed Income Research at the University of Pennsylvania. They say the $50 study has shown meaningful, measurable results. They say improved attendance. Students receiving cash attended 1.23 more days of school per semester than peers in the control group. Really? 1 1/5 or 1 1/4 days more? Okay, that's not, to me, statistically significant per semester. Okay, if I saw 5 days, but really a day and a fourth? Stronger financial capability, they say this showed. Participants demonstrated greater understanding of financial products and planning. Meeting basic needs, they say nearly half of spending went towards essentials like food, followed by education-related expenses and savings. Financial discipline. They said 52% of students ended the study with money in their accounts. The students who ended up with a positive balance had an average of $3,000 in savings in their accounts. I would have saved more. I was a saver. because I wanted to, I wanted the money so I could move out of the house. But yeah. And then greater agency. Students use the funds to pursue long-term goals like ACT prep, dual enrollment coursework, and obtaining a driver's license. Okay. They say the students will opt into the program. 40 students will be selected through a random lottery. The pilot will test the program's impact in a new geography and explore effects on attendance and school engagement, building on a growing body of evidence that shows how financial stability can support academic success. I would like to see the study on the kids that didn't get the money. What does that do to the kids that didn't get the money? Without naming names, there was a medical school. Some medical students told me that the medical school had originally tuition free for the first class. And so all the students got to go to that medical school tuition free year one. They actually were working to have funds for year two of this class to be all covered. But they came up short with the fundraising. So they only got half the money to pay for the tuition for that second year for everybody. So you would think, all right, if they fell short with fundraising at half the money, then they are going to take everybody's tuition then and cut it in half because they got half of the tuition. But the students told me that's not what they did. What they did is they picked half the class and paid all of their tuition and left the other students who sat next to them paying full tuition. And I was like, was it something for diversity? Were they looking at underserved? And the person telling me said, no, I'm underserved. I'm diverse. I just didn't get picked and I had to pay full tuition, but I'm sitting next to somebody who got it for free. And I was like, how do your classmates feel about that? They go, they're ticked. Why wouldn't they pay for half of everybody's tuition, make everybody happy? Well, the reason why, I think, is because from a PR standpoint, they could say, we were able to give this many students complete, tuition free. As opposed to the statement in the press release saying we were able to have everybody's tuition. That's not as sexy as them saying we were able to give this many students tuition free. But in the process, it ticked people off. So I'm wondering if students don't get picked in this lottery, because I am sure the 40 students who get picked are going to be pretty vocal about it, saying, I get paid, because when their friends are like, why are you showing up to school? You're being a suck up. No, I'm not. I'm getting paid. I'm in the study. So I'm sure people are going to know who's getting the money. But the other thing, too, that bothers me about this is we could only throw money at an issue for so long. We cannot have kids expect that they're going to be paid to go to school. That's why I always say the whole school education system needs to be transformed, where the morning are your core classes and then your afternoon is all your practical learning. So you learn about all the trades, you learn about all the careers, you learn how to farm, hunt, fish, first aid, how to work out, how to self-defense, all that. So that by the time you're a sophomore, you know what you want to do in life, you're well-rounded. I mean, and you're actually excited about what you're learning. High school ends at the end of sophomore year, and then junior year and senior year is where you get your trade certificate or your associate's degree. None of this free college and taxpayers have to pay for people's college. It's all a part of that K through 12. So everybody graduates at the age of 18 with a certificate and a trade or an associate's degree. And I tell you, these kids are going to want to go to school. Because if they get to every 2 weeks or every month have a new rotation, and it's something that's teaching them practical stuff, they're going to like it. People want to know how to hunt and fish, and they want to know about marketing. They want to know about the stock market. They want to know about education. They want to get a feel so that they know what they could go into, not just sit on a hard chair in a classroom for 8 hours. But I kind of disagree with the fact that you are paying somebody. See, the incentive, and I hate to say it because I don't want this coming back, but the incentive was you wouldn't get your butt kicked by your parents. Well, now people don't care. If they miss class, what are the parents going to do? So they're trying to financially incentivize people. It's just you don't have enough money. It's already cost enough money to put these kids into school. 1-877-Daliah, don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So you're going to see a headline or two saying 100,000 federal workers are walking out today of their job. You got to read a little bit more into it. There is no mass walk-off that is being staged in protest or anything like that, like some of these headlines are trying to make it sound like. If you remember, when Trump came into office to save the taxpayer money and to get federal workers back to work, he gave everybody a choice where if you didn't want to come back to the office and you wanted to work remote, then this is the deal. You will be leaving your job September 30th. We will pay you all the way through to September 30th, but you have till February 6th to let us know that you'll be leaving. And many of you don't even have to come back to the office. So many of these individuals were getting paid at home to leave when they resigned on February 6th. So September 30th is today. And a lot of people took the deal. I think 100, let me see if I have the exact number. I don't know if I have the exact number, but they're saying about 100,000 people took the deal. Oh, here we go. The Office of Personnel Management tells Fortune magazine that 154,000 federal workers took the deal, and the majority of them leaving today. Others may exit by the end of the year, but I was under the impression that many of them already left. They didn't have to go back to the office because the email they got said, look, if you do choose to not come back to work or come back to the office, you will still get paid through the 30th, whether you decide to work or not. So obviously many people wouldn't be working. So, they call this the largest mass resignation in history. But it was Trump's fork in the road deferred resignation program that offered staffers a chance to leave if they weren't serious about coming back to work and holding their job. This, according to OPM, is going to save $28 billion annually. She said no previous, McLaurin Pinover tells Fortune magazine that no previous administration has been even close to saving American taxpayers this amount of money in such a short amount of time. A Senate analysis from July reports that this program was set to cost $14.8 billion to pay the wages and benefits of 200,000 federal workers taking up 8 months of leave. But it gave them a really nice severance. It made their departure not very controversial, and now it's saving money in the long run. And it also gave our government agencies a chance to see how they do with fewer staff. And from what I'm hearing, they didn't miss a lot of the staff that weren't coming in anyway to work. Now, some of these positions were crucial, and they did have to hire people that would be on site. But it's interesting to see how some agencies had to hire back, but the majority of them did not. Now, we are, though, bracing for more cuts. If the government does shut down, the White House has instructed federal agencies to make more cuts. Now, why would they cut even more? 2 million employees got that email, and 154,000 took the deal, which is interesting. You would think more people would have taken that deal more. But you have a government job. Government jobs used to be really great benefits, and you would be able to keep your job. Now that's being challenged by the Trump administration and Doge, going, look, you can't sit and do nothing, or it's not going to be easy money. You're going to work, and if you don't want to work, you leave. Or if we don't need your position, if your position is pork, we don't need it. So civilian employees obviously are more at risk than those of the military, because the military need to be staffed. And the civilian employees are necessary so that the military employees don't have to be holding jobs, and working two jobs in terms of, the military, and then covering other positions that could be taken over by a civilian. But unfortunately, if we do have a government shutdown tomorrow, there could be more federal jobs cut. Whoever wants to keep their job and wants to come to work and do a good job, I want them to be able to keep their job. But I also understand that we have had a lot of wasteful spending. And I've seen it. I've worked for the government. It's ridiculous. And I've also seen people just not get fired who really should have gotten fired. And when you take advantage of the taxpayer, it's not cool. Now, what I would do on top of this is, if you really did save the taxpayer $28 billion annually, let them see some of that back. And I know that's been controversial, because people are saying, well, the government doesn't have enough money. So wherever they could cut, that money's going to go into all the other things they have to pay for. But still, give a little bit back to the taxpayer. If you want the taxpayers to have some skin in the game and be supportive of saving money, telling everybody we saved $28 billion, I am amazed and I applaud you. But then, do I get that back? Same thing when you hear, we're going to be spending this, President Trump was telling the generals how he is giving them funding, I think trillions of dollars, so that they could do what they need to do to, defend our country. And so, you hear that number and you're like, okay, it's a lot of money, but I guess they need it. And then you move on with your life. Now, we're paying the taxes, so we're paying for this. But if they're saving money, why don't we get some back? And not just one check. Even if it's $25 or $50 a quarter, give that back to the taxpayers. And they're going to be more supportive of you saving that money. So the resignations that are taking effect is nothing new. These were already expected. But from what we understand, there is going to be more cuts. The U.S. federal workforce has been shrinking since Trump took office, according to Fortune magazine. His administration being adamant on reducing insufficiencies was part of an effort by Elon Musk and Doge to eliminate $2 trillion of government waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, Musk was able to bring down the number, or he brought down the number to like 150 billion, but his time was not supposed to be permanent. He has other things to do. Do I think we could save $2 trillion? Oh, absolutely, with what I see we're spending on. And it looks like we're going to be saving money on Medicaid drugs now that we have that deal with Pfizer. If we're bringing money in from other companies and we do establish an external revenue service, I think this could be monumental. But right now we're, just kind of moving along. For those of you who have been looking for government jobs, I think it's usajobs.com or .org. There are some agencies that are hiring. We know ICE is hiring. If you do approach a government job, I would have probably had my government job forever, but I had to go to medical school. So I left my job to go to medical school, and I worked for the EPA. And I liked working for the EPA. It wasn't my favorite job. My favorite job was waiting tables. I really liked waiting tables. And then my second favorite job was being an ER doc. And then a mom. but the mom, yeah, that was fun. But I really liked waiting tables more. But there are still some government jobs if you're looking for that. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So when I was in medical school, there were some requirements, maybe not necessarily listed or put in writing, but for you to survive medical school, you had to have certain abilities. I mean, you had to be able to stand in an OR, especially if it's like a commando procedure, these head and neck procedures that could take forever, or cardiovascular surgery where you're standing for hours in an OR, or delivering babies or doing C-sections. You had to be able to work without sleep. You had to be able to be academically proficient and be able to not just pass, but do well, because if you don't pass your boards, it doesn't matter the grade a medical school gives you. If you can't pass your national boards, you don't get to be a doctor or practice. And you also had to have a resilience. If you couldn't look at blood, if you fainted at the sight of blood, you wouldn't last long in medical school. If you couldn't handle smells, things that, didn't smell well, if you couldn't, handle what you saw or heard, or the way you were spoken to, you wouldn't last. And so there were standards that we had to satisfy, or we just wouldn't get through. And with that, many of us became pretty damn resilient. I didn't agree with some of the training, and I think, it didn't have to be that gruesome. But, I mean, as a mom, when your child cut off part of his finger, which he did, and whatever, I had to be able to jump and step in. You can't be grossed out by things. You can't be a doctor going to, ooh, that's gross, or, oh, that's stinky, or that's, you have to be able to jump in and do what you need to do. Just like a firefighter can't be scared of fire. You have to protect yourself and you have to protect others, but you can't run the other way. Same thing with police and security guards. We saw that when there was a school shooting, I think it was in Florida, and the security guard froze. And some of us freeze. We're still human. In fact, when my son did, start to cut his finger off, I did freeze for a second. He got caught in a door, and the door slammed on it, the inside of the door, not the door with the handle. And I remember, because I was holding the baby, and I was trying to figure out what to do with the baby and what to do with him. And then after a second or two, I handed the baby to the school, told them, look, I'm going to have my husband pick him up. I got to go take him to the hospital. I went and I numbed my son's finger up first so he would be calm, and then he would sleep, and we handled it. But, when you are in a position, whether it's law enforcement or your job will require you to have certain standards. If you're a roofer, you can't be scared of heights. I mean, these are just things that come with the job. Well, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced today, when he was meeting the generals in Virginia, that all combat personnel would be required to meet the highest male standard in order to maintain their positions. All combat personnel. He said the department must, quote, restore a ruthless, dispassionate, and common sense application of standards. He says we're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep. He says war is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. He says we fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. He said we also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We unite the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement, just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. So he says every member of the joint force at every rank is required to take a test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service. He says additionally, members of the joint force will be required to do physical training every duty day. And even though many units are already doing that, it's going to be codified. And he says that the Secretary of War can do hard PT, so can every member of our joint force. And he brought up fat troops, fat generals, and admirals, arguing that the physical standards for American service members has eroded, and it was time to raise the bar. So he noted that altered physical standards, including those changed in 2015, according to Fox News, when combat arms standards were changed to ensure females could qualify, had to be returned to their original form. He said this also included standards he claimed were manipulated to hit racial quotas, calling them unacceptable. Now, he says this is not to prevent women from serving their country. He says this is not about preventing women from serving. We very much value the impact of female troops. Our female officers and NCOs are the absolute best in the world. But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. He says if that means no women qualify for some combat job, so be it. That is not the intent, but it could be the result, so be it, he says. It will also mean that weak men won't qualify because we're not playing games. This is combat. This is life or death. So I have never been in a combat role. But what I am told and what I understand is when the poop hits the fan and you need to carry your comrade out, you need to be able to carry another man. Now, some women could do that. But if they can't, is that going to cause more trauma to the injured individual if you can't get that person out and get them onto the helicopter and get them out or get them onto the truck? We as women, and I'm a woman who used to be pretty athletic, all right, things have changed. Now, I would want to serve my country in any capacity. But if I was told that they need somebody who was taller, somebody who was stronger, and needed me in a different role because what comes first is what the country needs, I would take the role that they need me to do, that they found me best suited for. Now, just like as a physician, I would love to do cardiovascular surgery. But if I'm not the best candidate for it, I'm not going to do it. They're not going to allow me to do it. I mean, we have standards. I mean, a lot of people want to be law enforcement. But if they don't have the standards to become an officer, they're not going to be an officer. So there are roles that people have, and we have standards in all other aspects of work and industries and careers. And so, we women should be encouraged to be a part of our armed services. And from what I'm reading into this, Pete Hegseth is not saying he doesn't want them. But in terms of the being in combat and if there are situations where you don't have a place to sleep and you are, staking out an area in a foreign land, and you guys are, in a tent, 6-7 of you, we can't have our officers concerned that they're going to accidentally hit a boobie and then be in trouble. Or I'm not saying a woman's going to accuse them of this, but we if there's a better way for individuals to do their job that's more efficient, then that has to be honored. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.